Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for attending this session. I'm very excited to be part of this fireside chat. And Dr. Atif is with us, and in combination with this second AI summit. So, Dr. Atif, maybe first you can go with your introduction, and then I can briefly introduce myself, and then we can start our conversation. And the topic of this whole conversation would be that how this academia and industry are doing, and how they can better collaborate so that we can try to get maximum out of it and everybody can get benefit from it. And we can just also, given you have a lot of experience in states and in North America, so maybe you can share your perspective, and we can also, I can add the perspective from Pakistan as a viewpoint. So I'm also working like both in industry and academia, so I think this whole combination of experience would give at least a kind of position that how we can achieve the best from whole this kind of this session. So maybe, sir, if you can start with your introduction.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Atif Fareed Muhammad, as for the US or Canadian aspect. My name is Dr. Muhammad Atif Fareed in reality. That was my Pakistani name. And I came here, I came to know that there is a first name, middle name, and the last name. And the last name is a family name. My family name is Muhammad since last 8 generation. So I have been in the United States for the last 10 years, but before that 10 years, 9 years, I was in Canada. I have a master's in computer science from Karachi University, 95, 97. Then I have a second master's in computing with the aspect of IBM's pervasive computing. And that is the embedded computing within anything. And that was from Queen's University, Kingston, Ontario, in Canada between 2006 to 2009 while I was working full-time in Toronto. And my dissertation at that time was more of information flow within the certain personal environment, which you now know as Dropbox, as Google Drive, as something. The progression happened on the things which you work and other people work simultaneously. And I went for my first PhD in the University of Quebec at Chicoutimi, which is in cloud security for the big data analytics sessions, because there is no more small data or medium data left. It's like all big data. I was funded, and then I got funding in the United States, and I did my second doctorate back to back in the data science, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. And that I just graduated last year in 2019 in May with the blockchain, permission blockchain. So there are two types of blockchain. One is cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and all that. One is the on the back end blockchain, which is Hyperledger or community ledger and all that. So I created a whole community ledger, which is permission, proof of permission rather than proof of work or something else. I have been in the industry for over 23 years, 100% in the computer industry, in the information systems industry, in the cybersecurity industry. I'm currently also a NASA research scientist in Columbus, North Carolina. It's right at the border of South Carolina. And we do near-Earth objects detection. And I also am a research scientist with OnTrack in Los Angeles, whereas I'm a professor of artificial intelligence and machine learning at University of North Carolina at Charlotte, which I'm teaching these online due to the circumstances that we are in. So I'm extensively published. You can go on Google, just type my full name, Atif Fareed Muhammad, or put Google Scholar, and then you'll see who I am. I'm published extensively in topics related to NASA, space sciences, the satellites. I also have extensive publications in the security domain and big data and others computer science related. So that's my short introduction. Faisal, I would like you to kindly introduce yourself.
Sure, very impressive. I think we really need to be proud of Pakistanis like you who have done so much for, who have contributed so much for like these kind of next gen technologies. My introduction, basically, I'm the person who has experience in academia, in industry, in research, in deployment. So, in as per industry, I have a startup named AdoAI. I started around like 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm president and co-founder of that company. And we are headquartered in Singapore, and most of the operations here in Lahore. And so, Adway has client from many gold tier clients, ranging from the largest telecommunication company, the largest transportation company, up to several governments. We were working with Smart by government. We are working with the fourth largest hospital in the US. So the idea was whatever we I was doing. I'm also faculty at the Information Technology University, and so idea was whatever we are teaching, whatever we are doing, so it should be applied. So we should not restrict ourselves only teaching and only doing something which are just theoretical, because the area what I have, the big data, machine learning, artificial intelligence, is very hands on, it's very applied. And the students what we have in ITU, they are also like that. So that's why I think it was very important that we should have something where we can just actually think that what industry is asking and how we can, and it should be a loop, because what we are doing in academia, it should be as per standards of the requirements of industry, and what industry is asking, that should be done here. As far as qualification, so I did my PhD in machine learning and artificial intelligence from Eindhoven University of Technology, Netherlands, around 12, 13 years ago. And since that time, I'm heavily involved with the different government and private sector, and even like I was working with the US Urban Institute, World Bank. I also won a major World Bank Research Innovation Award for my work here in Lahore. So I have extensive experience in all these kind of just just thinking that how what should be the research and how that research can be applied and used somewhere. So this is something like very brief about what I'm doing.
Good. So it's good to know that a learned person like you decided to go into an initiative where you can empower others with the education that you have taken, and create a relationships between academia and the industry. I'm also involved in such initiatives. So I'm chairing a conference which is NASA and IEEE. I would like you to set a set for other people to get an understanding that publication brings you credibility and a publicity in the area of computer science, and any area of computer science. So you're most welcome to look into NASA IEEE conferences.
Sure.
We maintain in Bozeman, Montana, or Big Sky, Montana, something like that. And I'm part of the big data and machine learning and data science conferences since 2013 in San Francisco and New York, and in London, England. So that is an initiative which is on hold at this moment due to the current circumstances. So the idea is we have to go in deep. And since you have done the PhD, and I'm very happy to see another fellow from Pakistan who has achieved the level where, usually Pakistanis saying paise kamane hai, yes, education itni leni hai ki bas kaam chal sake and go into. But you have also broken that barrier. I would suggest everybody to think money actually follows you when you forget about it. Trust me on this. My last gig that I was called upon was in United Arab Emirates. The idea was the honorarium was $5,000 just to speak for 40 minutes. Round trip ticket, business class, 5-star stay. I didn't ask for that, but people do that. It's a whole different ball game. Whether I did, I just couldn't find time even to do that, because at $5,000 for 40 minutes, I think it's for 40 minutes a big, but I had to spend 14 hours one way. That is 28 hours air trip, and I had to be there for at least like a day or two. That's not for like 40 minutes. It's like a 3-4 days game. and in 4 days I would have made way more money if I am going into the in some sort of contractual gig than $5,000. So कहते हैं ना कभी तोलो नहीं कि आप जो तालीम हासिल कर रहे हैं वो पैसे के लिए नहीं होना चाहिए. That is for your learning. You must be educated for your own betterment, because Rabbi Zidni Ilma in Quran does not have a woman on the back or a man on the back or after money or not money. Rabbi Zidni Ilma is, oh Allah, increase my knowledge. Is the more knowledge you get, my father used to say that, may God bless his soul, that when a tree bears the fruits, it goes down, it does not go erect. यानी उसके अंदर जो दरख्त पे जब फल आता है तो वो झुक जाता है, अपना फल आपके साथ शेयर करता है. So that's my understanding, and I've seen एक होता है लफ्ज उर्दू में कहते हैं गनी हो जाना. गनायत अल्लाह ताला की अता होती है, and you become automatically ghani when you have more knowledge, because knowledge is the most powerful thing on earth, if there is anything. So yeah, the idea of this chat is more of the utilization of relationship between public and private sector, how we can embed our knowledge. So Kamran, shall I call you Dr. Kamran or Faisal?
Faisal is fine.
Faisal, I'm proud to say I went to Islamia High School, Lahore, and Dayal Singh College, Lahore. So I am a die-hard Lahoriite. So I'm not Ravi, and I don't even care about being Ravi and to go to government college. I'm fine wherever I went. I have achieved a level in the worldly state where I consider that I know like this, and I learn from everyone, whoever is there. It does not matter whether the other person is more learned to me or less learned, because every individual is an intellectual. Intellect comes with your grade 5's mathematics book in Pakistan that states a set theory, unions, intersections, subsets. That's the knowledge beginning as a human child grasps, as a machine grasps. Algorithms, which came from Al-Khwarizmi. The word Al-Khwarizmi, translated loosely into the Latin algorithmi, and then the word algorithm comes. So ये तो हमारी मिरास है तालीम.
No doubt, no doubt.
So Faisal, I would like you to go ahead and carry on this discussion.
Excellent, excellent. I think there is no second opinion, and in general, I 100% agree. There are two things. First, I think when we say about knowledge, research, publication, so first of the most important thing is honesty. So first you need to be honest with yourself and
Yes.
everybody around you. For example, if we say publication, so we should try to aim at least those kind of work which are decent, first of all, and that can be used and that can solve some problem. The publication
Yes.
should not be just a publication, right?
Yes.
That the paper would part of, like, it will become part of any library, and never, no one would cite ever this paper. Or so I try to at least restrict myself, publish like top venues like ICDM, KDD, ECMLP, KDD, so all the top venues. So that was, I think, one point what I decided in the beginning of my career, that I don't want to publish 1,000 research papers. Maybe I will publish like 10, 20, 30, 50 papers, but that should be decent one. And that work should be complicated. People should build on that one thing. And second thing, so I think that's very important for everyone to understand, because knowledge is one thing, but there are two kind of ways that knowledge helps. One, sometimes if you're knowledgeable, it will help yourself. For example, if you go to for job, or maybe some big company, so basically you would be, that's also a good thing. You would be solving some good problems, you are delivering to the society. But at the same point, if I think if you can just teach, if you can build some startup where whatever you are doing, if you would share your knowledge, you will teach your next generation, you would teach your juniors, probably I think it would enable so many people down the road. Maybe like in 5 years, you would like change the life of like 50 families, 100 families or something. So I think these are the things, at least what I believe. And for these things, I think we always try to go beyond limits. We should try to accept whatever. For example, we should not say, okay, I'm professor. I would I would not do this thing. No, I'm happy to help my students if they want to do something which is not as per my plans, but I believe that this is better for them. So as a kind of I think it's our duty. It's not only that, it's not something that we should do it. It's our responsibility to enable people with respect to giving them knowledge, giving them right advice, giving them right career. So this is something I think that it all gives. Once we start thinking like this way, as you mentioned, giving knowledge, supporting each other, and then I think the whole circle start moving. For example, then academia would start giving helping industry would start helping academia, and the third pillar, maybe the government at some point, they can also think like, okay, how we can enable them. So overall this ecosystem will start like it will start emerging. And at
Yeah.
Pakistan, I think we need this right now. So what I would like to have from your side, because I think you are a very visionary person and you have a like kind of exposure to both Pakistan and also to like North America. How do you think that how we can learn lessons from the countries like US, Canada, and how we can try to improve the life of a common man by these lessons, by bringing this industry, academia on track and closer to each other.
The one thing that I have noticed in last 21 years in North America, and I also witnessed a similar thing in Pakistan when I was there. I left Pakistan in 1997. And in 1997, there was a trend. People used to buy books and read them. I don't know. I have not been to Pakistan more than like twice after that, I think. 97, the last time I was in Pakistan in 2002. My wife, some time ago, but then last time when she came back, she said, you will not recognize the country. It's like the roads are much better. Infrastructure is getting to a level where you feel that there is a parameter. Like I know there is a company called Abjanai in Lahore, and when I was speaking with Mr. Mudassir Malik, and like a younger brother to me, and I was speaking with him, and I said, "Where exactly you're situated?" The address, he said. I said, "Mato Keto today." And so then he sent me a map, and I looked, and it's after Rangers headquarters. When you cross down to Burki Hadiara, there was absolutely nothing when I was in Pakistan, because my father was in the army, so I know that area inside out. The idea behind smart city, I would say, start with one small block. If we start implementing that in Pakistan, because in Pakistan people have telecommunication, they have the cell phones, and most
Right.
of them, and I think 99% should be smartphones, whether Android or iPhone or something like that. So the idea is create the ease of access, and ease of access comes with the ease of use. If you're developing some apps for iPhone or Android, those should be your environment, constraint, evaluating, self-evaluating. And the area when you go in, it should give you within that area. Google will not provide you that.
Right.
Because in the United States, when I'm driving, my Google tells me there's a gas station in like 5 minutes or 6 minutes time frame. There's an app called Waze, WAZE, that tells me where's the accident, or the rush on the highway, or this is your suggested route, so you can even still save time and all that. We can have
The
very
small
small.
interruption, by the way, in Pakistan, I think we have all these things. So even like Google Maps works perfectly. If we have to move somewhere from any two between two locations. I think it all these things are almost like Google has is covering all these things, and the more and more like apps and the local sporting the kind of like apps are coming like on the way. Just a
Yeah.
minute.
So what I was saying, I was setting a stage. So if these things are already in existence, then we have to find an area which is not resolved. किसी बीमार के पास दवाई कैसे पहुंचेगी? Medication to reach to a certain person. Whether that person has been to a physician, a nurse has looked at it at a third place, chiropractor has looked at it fourth place. So what are the needs? We need such apps which are very simple, very small, and counterintuitive to make a decision for you if you're sick. If you are shopping, then the app must be aware self-learning on terms of supervised learning and semi-supervised learning and machine learning. That this is the usual habit of this individual, whether it's a man or a woman, go on Sunday afternoon to shop, learn from the knowledge. And that time, what are the possibilities कि इसको आलू कहाँ से अच्छे मिलेंगे, गोभी कहाँ से अच्छी मिलेगी, इसको goat कहाँ से अच्छी मिलेगी, इसको beef कहाँ से अच्छा मिलेगा. And these that I don't think they exist because they don't even exist in states. So up slowly, Amazon has started going into that venture. That Amazon would suggest me that, you know what, this is your typical Tuesday grocery run. Don't have to go. We can give you this that you have bought from Walmart at your home step, at your doorstep. So these are the few things. These are all machine learning and AI backend. There are
Right.
many things in Pakistan which can be taken care in terms of solving an everyday problem of an individual. It does not matter whether that individual lives in DHA or it lives in Burki or Hadiara, where that FCNI's office is. So these are few, and that can be a smart study block to work with. And that
Right.
smart study block actually can enable you take more decisions with more knowledge, with more empowerment. So this is just an example. What would you say, Faisal?
No, I think I fully agree because definitely we need to move to the next step because right now there are in Pakistan. Look, in I think in US maybe the good thing is in US if you want to build something maybe you need like $1 million for that, right? But if you want to build same thing in Pakistan with the help and with the kind of luxury of our youth and our talented people here, so maybe you can do it at a much cheaper cost. Your sustainability and it's very easy here. So I think in general, I would say that maybe Pakistan is on the right track.
Yeah.
And there recently in the last 2 or 3 years, there was a lot of culture of startups because usually these ideas, these kind of things come as a startups because people come and they try to just provide to address the needs of a common man,
Yeah.
and then they facilitate. For example, we did not have any payment systems, but right now I think we have like several small payment systems and quick solutions, Easy Pesa, and
Yes.
several others. So just you can just quickly do that. So I think this ecosystem is being developed, but right now this is more focused towards just like solving the problem, which is good. That should be the ideal first step. But as you mentioned, so next step should be actually giving intelligence, making
Yes.
it more independent. It should be pattern driven. It should be because if, for example, exactly. So that should be the way that how the things are moving. So, for example, instead of having 10-person who models the behavior of like maybe 50 persons, we should try to place an algorithm there who can just do some spatial temporal mining, who can just
Yes.
understand that what common behaviors of this person, how his life can be. Basically, that is a helping people to make their life easier, to make everything accessible. Another very important thing, I think, what I would like to bring up here: Pakistan is a different country. given we are a developing nation, our size is big, so we have, if I say about Lahore or maybe certain areas of Lahore or Karachi or Islamabad or Faisalabad, so maybe I think they're as good as maybe like any other good country. So I had a friend from Netherlands, and when he was traveling with me over motorway, he said, "No, it's same. I just want to see the other regions because it's similar to what we have in Netherlands." So I think this is same. But the point here is, whenever we are building these solutions, we should not only focus these big cities. This is good. We can just start from there. We have more universities here. We have more kind of like options here. But at the same point, our focus should be diverse. For example, like I think this COVID, where it has so many negative things, but it also has learned us that how we can work remotely, how we can work from home. So maybe we can enable people to earn from home. We can enable our big portion of females. We can support them at least. If there are certain social constraints, we can try to encourage, okay, don't worry about these it will take time to solve these things, your commute would always be a problem, but you have to start from your home. We can have a better internet connections, and using these connectivity, maybe what we can try to do, we can provide these solutions, at least the basic ones, education for example.
Yes.
So we can try to open up ourselves to all the regions. For example, so whatever the kind of level of teaching we have in maybe information technology university, maybe we should try to expand it to virtually to the other regions, to Bahawalpur, to like maybe Rajanpur, to remote areas. I think
Quetta,
in this, yeah,
Durban,
Quetta, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Kozar.
This, and if anything, we can get back from Quetta and Rajanpur and Bahawalpur if something is better there. And due to this kind of this long distance and commute issues, it's not possible. So
Yeah,
maybe I think let's try to address that. Let's try to learn from these things and let's open it.
absolutely. There's one area that I would like to suggest for anybody and everybody who's listening to this. Big city life is a mess, it's a headache.
You're right.
I will never go in if I am not forced to go in a live in a big city. Period. It does not, interest me. I would rather go and have my own, acreage where I can create the algorithm to learn from me by plowing the fields on a tractor. And then after 10, 15 days, I leave the tractor to go and do the job that I'm doing by itself,
Right,
unless
right,
it goes switched off. Pakistan is more the agricultural country.
right,
The young folks do not have to go and live in a big city just for the money making sake. Improve a farmer's life in Pakistan. Farmer means इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि आप किसान हो गए तो you're out of the equation. Kisan is the one who feeds us. Farmer feeds us. Wheat is general. Rice is another. What about standard vegetable or vegetation and grow in a way with the organic seeds rather than inorganic and use the organic means. However, supply chain of that can be managed by a machine learning app. And
right, right.
yes, so you can imagine the camera, the sensor can tell you the size reduction of your, let's say अगर आपने खाद की वहां पे बोरियां रखी और बोरियां कम होती चली जा रही हैं, camera is actually non-stop noting that there is something being reduced. Your camera with the attached app should be able, in the semi-supervised learning, place an order for you delivered more, like urea or something else. And you don't even need to be there. The person comes or the delivery comes, they put it, the camera, and which is monitoring you should be able to tell, yes, the things have been added in the storage of where this has been stored or the seeds have been stored. And when in the end the end crop comes, the crop is huge, but when the crop is start reducing, it tells you that in the storage A and the storage B, storage A is less now 30% and the storage B is full. So why don't you go and start getting 30% from storage B? Because if the rain comes, the moisture will come into your produce. So it's better to have a balanced shipment out As a human, we do it. हमारा किसान करता है ये सारे काम, लेकिन हम उसे empower कर सकते हैं. हम उसे empower कैसे कर सकते हैं? We can even live there and do that thing while working with the all AI and ML. This is an example that I'm sharing with you because I know I live in a state, North Dakota, which is more farmer state. And Farmers Union actually funded us to make that satellite of this size, 10 by 10 inches, send into the space through NASA, which went in November 2016. And from point A in state of North Dakota to point B, वो सिर्फ इसके क्लाउड्स को ऊपर से एनालाइज करके बता देता था कि किस रीजन में नॉर्थ डकोटा के बारिश होनी है, वो क्या प्रिवेंटिव मेजर्स होने चाहिए, safeguard the produce. So you can imagine कि कहाँ पे कितना नुकसान हो सकता है. So yeah.
Excellent, excellent. I think maybe in the interest of time, because we have lost like 2-3 minutes, so I would add one example to what you just said. I totally agree. I think this is the way forward, because if we will continue to just ignore our key areas like farming or our agriculture, so I think we cannot go anywhere. So that's the problem. So I think even like despite of sometimes I would say small technology can really help, really
Yes.
help. For example, I'll give you another example. A friend of mine who I think who made a solution for poultry farms because
Yes.
usually whenever there are poultry farms, so there is they have like poultry birds like maybe for example hen or this kind of thing. So
Yeah.
usually it's very hard for at least the owner to go inside to see that whether is there any dead or is or every all the kind of they are live. So they try to, and usually they have to rest on, they have to trust some of the other workers, and sometimes they also like just say all good. So they try to use a camera at the
Yep.
top and on just on the uses or on the movement of all the birds, and then also some kind of like just different waves that they were on heat waves, because if there is kind of the animal which is dead, it would have a different like heat at that point. So on the
No
basis
heat.
of these
Yeah.
minor things. So they tried to count like how many birds were in the morning and how many birds are moving, and they sound reasonably healthy in the evening. So just comparing this number, they could check like, okay, if there is an issue, they can just go inside and they can pinpoint like this is a bird, so which is not doing good. So maybe I think these are small things what we can just add, and it can really have a huge impact on the industry, because you see
Yeah.
when we say this number, so this number is not small. This number is huge, because if you think about a poultry and the people they have to invest, and if anything goes bad, so what kind of consequences they would have to, really they can have a very huge hit on these things. But
Yeah.
these small intercepts, I think they can really help, and they can actually flip the side for them. Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe the last 1 minute, so maybe you can just final thoughts, any kind of advice to Pakistani youth or our audience that how they can benefit from this modern technologies. Yeah, good.
This
I
is
think
the
that
book.
one.
Yeah, this is a book which actually is a mantra. This is second. This is third. Sorry. Pardon me.
No,
Oh.
I think
Oh.
let's flip.
Yeah, there you go. If you know these, you are on the right path. What Faisal just said is absolutely correct. The application is small, the use is small, but the land is so vast that it will bring in the results in exponential ways. The poultry, one thing I like to add, it is, I think, 6 cents worth, a very small strip that comes, you can put on hen's feet, which is non-invasive. When a hen will get out of the farm, the preceptory sensor record automatically that the hen is gone and comes back. The first gone out is negative, come back is positive. That's it, plus and minus. And you don't need anything else, because hens eventually go out and then come back. And if there are 3 cents for data that didn't come back, it means that they're stolen, they are dead, or they abandoned the farm.
Right.
Imagine it's a very small app, plus and minus, that's it. 6 cents. I don't know how much, what is the conversion rate of Pakistan of 6 cents at this moment, but for me, 6 cents is nothing.
Yeah. 10 rupees. Yeah, exactly. No, I think I fully agree. I fully agree. And probably, I think, first of all, I would like to thank everyone who joined our session. And so I think as Dr. Atif showed some books, and I think that is a thing. Because if as a country, as a nation, we have to move forward. So we have to learn these latest technologies. We have to practice them. We have to start working on them. And if we are able, if we will be able to do that, then there are so many applications, so many problems which are ready to be investigated. And I think if any small intervention there, small help there, it can
Yes.
change the life of millions. Yeah.
I am in
So
total agreement with Faisal Kamran. Thank you, Faisal.
yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks, Dr. Atif.
Take good care. Khuda Hafiz.